With huge philosophical disagreements on how things ought to be run, we have two very intelligent people with many different opinions that forced both of them to take their separate paths. In contrast, Charles keeps his belief firm in the structure that has been formulated that creates accountability. Hey Fixers, welcome to Fix Your Finances, Build Financial Wealth. If you want to build your financial wealth and fill your mind with the right information, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for us to provide you with more valuable content. He also believed that it was important for him to put golden handcuffs on the founders and keep them loyal to the project. He also pointed out the fact that there are 8 founders, and that means a lot of opinions. If all of them are not on the same page, it can mean a lot of problems for all those working on the projects. If they all run away and start creating their own ventures, there could be people losing out on jobs, and therefore the entire company could then just collapse. He also accepts the fact that this is what has happened already, with Gavin moving into Polka, Vitalik staying back with his own intentions, and Charles moving ahead into Cardano. This fundamental disagreement is going to be a huge part of today's video. Charles was asked about his take on Cardano, to which he had a very simple yet funny answer. He says that it is important to build the car before designing the seatbelt in it. If you build a lousy car with a good seatbelt, you will probably see things flying into the car through the windshield, and even though you will be in the right place in case of an accident. He says that Ethereum and Bitcoin were much smaller systems and economies when they came into the market. Back then, a $100 million economy was thought of to be successful enough and was celebrated more often. The current prices are right now at $130 billion, even though we still are to see some remarkable success in either one of them. He says that there exists a fundamental difference between where it began to where it is at the moment. This is why one needs to think of all the aspects when building anything. He supplements this with an example and says that while building a car or an airplane, the only thing that rises is not only safety, even though that is one of the most important elements. A lot more other elements like that of efficiency, comfort, and durability do play a major role in the whole process. On top of all of this, another very important thing that has to be done is to read through the history. If things aren't done in a different manner, there will not be any progress. Progress is one element that must keep developing over time. He gave the example of Tesla for this. He points out that Tesla did go through all the safety standards even though they are very new to this market. At the same time, they also brought in a lot of new things into the market. This is the difference that Charles thinks is very significant in any company. He says that initially, there were a lot of issues with the consensus design with the proof of work. For example, he says that there was a need of doing the consensus in a new manner apart from the system that was being used in Ethereum and Bitcoin. They were never built in any way for sustainability or resource predictability. The necessity of predictable application costs was of prime importance to him. This need for the difference was why he decided to implement a system where people will be able to create smart contracts, and even the very first principles of the same were rethought. Ethereum, according to Charles, was not built for predictability. He says that it is just an experiment that kind of grew into a successful project and is now looking forward to expanding into a safer platform. He says that the first movers into any technology do play an important measure in setting the starting point. However, it does to sustain long enough as technology develops. He supports this statement of his with the example of the first browser that was Mosaic. He says that even though it was good for that time, there was a huge need for development at a faster pace. Therefore, Mosaic could not accomplish a lot in the long run. As soon as it set its mark, there were other players in the same and therefore had subsided down as they couldn't keep the competition up. This was followed by Netscape that failed and currently the Internet Explorer. He also says that currently we are using Chrome, and there are all the chances that something like Brave will soon dethrone them. These things are really unpredictable, and they keep changing with time. He also speaks about the search engines that had a similar trend. One of the famous ones that is not used as much nowadays is Yahoo. It was dethroned by Google and is still in use to date. For a first mover, you may get a lot of population, but this will certainly be very unstable. With the new competitors that come after them, they are already aware of the mistakes that the first one did, and other than that, they also work on the new innovations to make them better. These new emergents do not really have to remain the same as that of the first ones, as they have to maintain a legacy within them. This pretty much is like holding sand in your hands and is not so easy to accomplish. With new features in the market, the legacy consistently fades away and the new ones take over the market. This will be the role that Cardano will accomplish through the better technology they have in their hands, in place of sand full of legacy. He says that even though Ethereum worked on the proof-of-stake protocol for more than a year before they entered into the same with Casper, despite that, they were the first ones to come out with the results. He then says that Ethereum has been extremely lucky to have been able to reach good prices in a much shorter span of time. When they started off with it, they just had nearly $500,000 in their treasury. If that had continued, things may have gone wrong for Ethereum. Charles then states about 92 pages and over 10,000 citations that he published through his company. This was all done within just 4 years of them starting up with it. They then moved into the engineering company that could deliver Cardano to market and also accomplish the same through a very exotic programming language. Developing a programming language that they could sell as a part of the smart contracts was one of the most challenging parts. Therefore, the 6 years of history that Charles has at IHOK and the 6 months of experience at Ethereum, he says that Ethereum, being a very big project, is known by a lot of people, which isn't the case with Cardano yet. He says that there have been many people who asked him about what would actually have happened to Ethereum if he had stayed back with them. The answer to that was very simple, yet again, and he said that then Ethereum would have looked more like Cardano in terms of the features. It was perhaps the best thing that happened to them. By being separate and being able to work on different projects, they all could work based on their own ideologies and perceptions. They could build their own communities and pursue their own visions, which were very necessary for any cryptocurrency. Even though Vitalik admits that it is much harder to implement Ethereum 2.0 into the market than he thought would be from a technical perspective, there have been two interpretations to it. It could be a person being honest about the whole situation or someone who is just accepting his defeat unwantedly. One major difference between Ethereum and Cardano is that Ethereum has one that is 5 times that of Cardano. So on paper, it is a much bigger coin than Cardano. It is around 12.2% dominant over all other cryptocurrencies, while Cardano is just at 2.43%. Another major thing that has to be noted is that Ethereum has the largest developing community that has been conducting all the operations for more than 5 years. This number for Cardano is just 40. It has 40 developers working relentlessly and have been able to bring forth all that they have done. This explains the potential Cardano has over Ethereum. We hope you could learn a lot through this video. If you did, leave a like for us and also subscribe to this channel. Let us know in the comments below what you think about both of these companies. Do you think Cardano has enough juice within it to keep spooling over other cryptocurrencies? Also, make sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at fixyourfinances_ for more updates. See you next time at Fix Your Finances.